Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Knitting Texan podcast. My name is Rin, also known as Knitting Texan on Ravelry, and I am coming to you from a small town in Central Texas where I'm from and where I live with my family. So this is a knitting podcast that's supposed to be bi-weekly, like every 2 weeks, but I took a bit of a break, a bit of hiatus, because of finals and projects and all the fun stuff that comes with college and stuff. And then my life got really busy with working on my business and all that kind of stuff. So I've been swamped and really, really busy, but I finally have gotten a chance to sit down and record this video. And I've missed it. I've finished a lot of socks. I'm not going to show you all of them because that would be ridiculous. And I don't even have all of them anymore because one of them was a gift, and then like some of them have been worn, and so they don't look the greatest. But if you do want to see all of my finished objects since my last video, I will leave a link to my Ravelry in the description box, and you can go and look at all my project pages. And yeah, it's at least 10 pairs of socks, at least. And I just finished a pair last night, so so I have updated my Ravelry to where it has all the projects so far. And so if you want to have in-depth of every project I've finished in the last, how long has it been? I started in early March and we're almost in June. So, so since then, all the projects have been filled out. And so if you're interested, you can go look there. Today, I'm just going to show you some recent finished objects, aside from a couple pairs of socks, because I did, when was that? Months ago, I won a knit along hosted by the ladies at We Share Needles, Maddie and Kristen. And they sent me sock blockers and then a skein of yarn. And I have knit up the skein of yarn, and then it also so happens that the sock blockers are my exact foot size. So these are the socks. This is the first pair of socks that I made with them. Well, actually, this isn't the first pair. This is one from each pair. So as you can tell, they came out really even and pretty much the same, to the point where they're basically interchangeable. I was able to make 2 pairs, and I have actually worn one of these pairs of socks, and you can kind of see, but I have worn this pair of socks probably more than most of my other pairs, and it's wearing really well. Like, you can kind of see some felting in the heel and whatnot, some flattening and some felting, but they basically are holding up really well, and they look really close. Like, you'd never know that these were from different pairs. So anyways, I was really excited because also these sock blockers are exactly my foot size. So that worked out really well. And so these are some really cool shorty sock blockers. And as I said, these were a giveaway prize from We Share Needles. I always want to say Needles at the Ready, which is different. But yeah, so really excited about those. Those have become like the pair of socks that I just wear when this office gets cold. Now, of course, this office has not gotten cold recently, but yeah, we've had a string of mid-90s degree weather, mid-90s degree weather here in Texas. Now it's kind of cooled off now, and it's in the mid-high 70s Fahrenheit. But yeah, so yeah, I haven't been wearing wool socks. So yeah, I'm just going to do recent finished objects so we can go ahead and get started. I have a full finished pair of socks. I only have one on the blocker. You'll see why in a minute. These are a pair of socks that I made using the rest of the yarn. I made a Musselburgh hat for my grandmother, and this was 1/2 of it. And then I used the rest to make a pair of socks. So I do have the second one, but I made a shorty pair of socks for myself. Now these are knit on US size 1. I believe they're 56 stitches. I use DPNs. So that's 14 stitches a needle. And yeah, I really like this colorway. I think this was called Sienka Creek or something like that. I don't remember. It was a Lolo Did It colorway. I believe it was like a one-of-a-kind or limited edition. And she's made a lot of changes to our website since I podcasted last. So I doubt she still is buying this. So anyways, I really enjoy these. The pattern for this sock, I kind of made it up. So if you want to make something similar, you can use the socks, vanilla socks on Magic Loop or DPNs or whatever you're using by Kay the Crazy Sock Lady. And then basically what I do is I just do 8 rows of ribbing and then go straight into the heel flap. And then I add an extra row, I believe, of or an extra back and forth of the heel flap, so it's a little taller. So it pushes this up to where it's less likely to slip on your down off of your foot. Words. And I do the toe a little differently. I do every other row to a point, and then I do every row, and then I Kitchener. So it's a little different. It's kind of my own thing, but it's what fits my foot, and what I enjoy. I enjoy shorty socks because, full socks are rarely used here. So, and then the next 2 things I'm going to show are half-finished objects. So, this one is a half-finished object. This is from West Yorkshire Spinners. I have to say that slowly, otherwise I'll say something else. I believe these are just the blue stripes. I think that's what they call it. But I had used part of this skein to make a pair of socks with contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. They were kind of like a little longer leg. That was in a previous podcast, I believe. And then so I was using the rest to make a shorty pair of socks. And I only have one finished. The other one isn't even cast back on the needles, I don't think, yet. But yeah, I really enjoy this yarn. It's got BFL in it. And so I've really been enjoying BFL because it's nice and it feels sturdy. Feels nice. And then the second half-finished object is a pair of socks. Now, I have finally tried out Felici. This is a pair of Felici, or I'm working on the pair. This is only one sock, but this is a men's sock. So it took, I believe it took a little over 25 grams. So I couldn't make 2 socks with one 50 gram, but it was pretty close for a men's sized 10.5 to 11. But this is, if you don't know, Knitpicks Felici is a self-striping yarn. It's actually very nice. It's 75-25 typical sock yarn. And I really enjoy it. This one was a little interesting. This is the Bayou colorway, so it doesn't have a bunch of... What's interesting about it is the stripes are not even. So you have like this, all these stripes are even, and then it's got a wider black stripe. And then right about here, I was like, is something wrong with the skein? And then I went through and I was like, oh, now they're normal. And then it got big again. And I was like, well, I guess it's normal. This is the Bayou colorway, if I didn't say that. And again, this is a similar pattern to the one I use for myself. It's just sized up with more rows for the foot. I believe these are 64, and I knit all my socks on US size 1 ChowGoo DPNs. So a little out of practice, so everything's a little out of whack, but all of my information is on the project pages, which will be linked in the description box. So yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to try Felici. I have a few other colors that I'm going to try. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like self-striping yarn is really fun, and it gets you engaged, and it keeps you engaged, and then you just start, they tend to go faster, just because you're like one more row or one more stripe. And then, and they're also somewhat cheaper. Like if you have a smaller foot than these big guys, you can get a pair of socks in 50 grams. And so that's like $12. So it's a little cheaper than hand-dyed self-striping for sure. So I believe that is all my finished objects. I didn't talk about the yarn that I got from Maddie and Kristen. It is in my project page. It was like Gypsy Yarns. It was a superwash merino nylon tinsel, I believe. It was a little different. And so anyways, it was really interesting to get to try that. But again, it's in my project page. I don't remember, and I don't have the tag. So since it was so long ago, like I literally cast it on as soon as I received the package, and I finished both pairs of socks like a week, 2 weeks. I was stressed, and so I was knitting a lot. So anyways, those are my finished objects. I do have a lot of socks on the needles right now. On the needles being a relative term, because some of them, the other sock is not on the needle. But anyways, this is the Felici sock. What the world? This is the other Felici sock. I did actually cake it up because the bullet things that came in were a little funky, and so I caked it up. And so you can see this is the bag for it. Oh, see, that's how you spell it. Nitpicks Felici. I say Felici. Some people say Felici. I don't know. And it's in the Bayou colorway, and it's a typical 75-25 merino nylon, superwash merino nylon. You can see there. And then it just comes in 50-gram bullets. You've probably seen these because they're very popular, and I can see why. They're very nice yarn. Kind of a plump, soft green. So, anyways, this is the second sock, and I'm knitting it on Yo size 1 DPNs, and I'm just at the heel flap, the heel flap, and so yeah. And this is in a Bags by Awesome Granny. I believe it was the library bag, and it's the Notions pouch, I believe, and it's big enough for one skein of yarn. And you can see I got all these dangly things. This is for the sock itself. I use a light bulb stitch marker that marks every 10 rows. And so once the light bulb markers are gone, then that means the foot is done. And then this I just use for the beginning of the round, the end the end of the gusset decreases. And then this is just a little charm that I got in with a skein of yarn, and I just put it on the zipper pull. So next, wrong bag. The next work in progress is in this bag. I don't really actually know where this is from because I, again, won this in a giveaway from, what is her name? She's a newer podcaster. I'll leave her link in the description box below, probably. But yeah, so this is a bag I won from there. It's a snap pouch, and I just use it for socks, and I really enjoy it. This sock is not on the needles. This is the other West Yorkshire spinners, and that will be cast on very soon. Like I said, I'm just slowly working through everything. My whips are more like in limbo in the middle of finishing half of it and then starting the other half. So that will be cast on for next time. And then my final knitting work in progress is this pair of socks. So my sister's birthday was recently, and so and she's a big Star Wars fan. Her birthday is in May, and so it's kind of like Star Wars month. It's kind of become that. And so I really wanted to get her some Star Wars yarn so that I could make her socks or make her whatever she wanted. And so I got her this skein of yarn from Wild Hair. It's a shop on Etsy. I don't know if focus. And it is called There Is No Try. And it's just a normal superwash 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And it's really cool because it's supposed to light up in black light, but that's kind of irrelevant because I don't have a black light. But it is quite crazy and quite bright and colorful. And of course it's green. And so like that's my sister's favorite color, or one of her favorite colors, and it doesn't want to focus. Doesn't want to focus on it. But you can see the colors of it. It's very bright and very neon. I didn't know my sister was a neon person. Look. But this is how it's knitting up in the sock. It's actually turning out really cool. It's starting to spiral. At first I thought it was self-striping, just the way it was inked up, the way it looked in the hank. It looked like it was self-striping. But it's actually turning out to be more of a spiral. And this sock is actually being knit on Yo size 1 Licca DPNs. They're the denim DPNs. And I actually really like their DPNs. It's actually, they're very sharp, which I enjoy. And they're also wood, which is a little something to get used to because it can bend. That's not because I'm used to metal needles. So when it bends, it's like, oh shoot, this is breaking. So anyways, this is how the socks are turning out. It's basically the same pattern as mine. I did make the heel flap a little shorter because she didn't need the extra rows. Her heel is shorter than mine. And then I'm also going to end it earlier because her foot is wider than mine. And so it's going to be a little different, but it's basically the same pattern as what I use for mine. And again, I just got it from Kay the Crazy Sock Lady, her sock pattern. It's basically that, just edited a bit for my needs and the needs of my family. And so it's in this drawstring bag that I won from a giveaway from Kay the Crazy Sock Lady as well. And so, yeah, that's all the knitting works in progress. I do have several crochet, as you may recall if you're returning. Thank you for number one. Thank you. And for another, I've been crocheting on the blankets quite a bit, and that's partially why the socks kind of lingered and been in weird places. But let's go ahead and look at the ones you already know about. And so this is my crappy blanket. And if you know if you're returning, you may remember, or you may not, and that's fine, that I am using all of my scraps in crochet blankets. And this particular crochet blanket, I'm holding it double with a cotton strand as well as all of the scraps. And for this blanket, I am using an eye hook or a 5.5 millimeter. And this is just a cheap Hobby Lobby. You get a set of like a million of them. But yeah, this is the eye, or the 9 hook. Or the red one, if you have the same set I do. So anyways, this is a good portion of my scraps. They're not all of it. It's not all of it, but if it doesn't fit into the scheme of the other 2 blankets I have, which are schemed, this is kind of like the crazy free for all crochet blanket. And so, sorry, I'm hung up on, there it goes. Okay, so goodness gracious, I've got a little stitch marker on it to hold the loop of where I'm working. And so I'm going to try not to make this extremely huge so you can actually see how long it is. But I've put quite a bit of work on it since last time. Sheesh. Please hold. So it's kind of, I believe last time I was somewhere in here. And so I put quite a bit on it, kind of almost doubled it in size. And so it's quite long now. I don't actually know how long it is, but as you can see, it's kind of just crazy free for all crappy. And I can kind of see you through the holes of the crochet, but I'm just going to kind of hand around it. I can't show you the whole thing because it's so big, but that gives you the general idea. It's folded in half as well, so it's actually like bigger than my wingspan. But yeah, I've really been enjoying this. It's really light and interesting because like all of the yarn itself is in wool, and then the strand I'm holding it with is cotton, and so it's a little cooler than say 100% wool blanket. But it looks really cool, even though it's super crazy. And I kind of got a lot of pinks and oranges at the top there, and kind of at the bottom as well. But yeah, I've really been enjoying this. I've really been enjoying getting into crochet again. I actually started crocheting first before I was knitting, and so getting back into crochet has been really fun. I believe I learned Tunisian crochet first when I was like 6. A family friend taught me how to do Tunisian crochet, but it was with a crochet hook that kind of looked like the one I showed you. It wasn't like, I believe she was showing me how to make like I-cord. I would assume is what it was. I don't actually know, so I shouldn't probably say anything if I'm not totally sure. And then the next, sorry, I'm reaching down below because they're so big now. I can't, sorry, Fluff. I can't actually have them in a bag on a table or something. I have to have it in a big cube. And so the next one I'm going to show you is my red, white, and blue one. And I have also done a lot of work on it. It's huge, so I won't show you it spread out as much as the other one. But it's getting pretty long now. I've put a lot of work into it. I believe last time I was in and around here somewhere. So I've, again, almost doubled it, or did like a third of it. I did change the hook size on this one because I was using a smaller hook and I didn't enjoy working on it as much. And so I I made the hook size bigger and now I enjoy it and it's totally fine. So if you're not enjoying your crochet blanket or crochet project, try increasing the hook size or changing the hook size or changing the hook, and it may make it more enjoyable for you. And so for this blanket, I'm holding 2 scraps with a white solid. So that's my white solid, and then these are the 2 scraps that I'm holding. And what I'm doing is I'm going red, white, blue, red, white, blue, white, and then start over. So the red and the blue are separated by a white or neutral stripe. And so I've been really enjoying it. It's kind of all scraps. Even the white is kind of scraps that I made, like the solid white that I'm holding with this can be scraps as well. And I actually have, so it can either be this color, which this is Lolo Did It Freedom. You may recall from a previous episode that I was going to make a sweater out of this, and I decided not to because this is not exactly white, and I don't really look good in white to begin with, and so I just kind of gave up on the idea, and so now I'm using it in my blanket. But it's been really cool because it's added blips of red and blue in the white section, and so it looks really cool, and it kind of blends it together. The other white that I'm using is I found a shop on Etsy that was selling Regia for dyeing. Was hold on, let's try that again. Was selling Regia yarn for dyeing. So you can see for hand dye, and it was super cheap. And they were like, or super cheap. They're 100 grams skeins, and I believe they were $5 a piece. And so they're just 75-25, I believe. Yeah, 75-25 wool, washable wool, I believe, and nylon. And so, anyways, it's just white yarn. And it's better than having to pay a lot of money for a yarn that that's just going to be white, and I'm just going to be holding with other stuff. And so I got quite a few skeins of this, hopefully to finish the rest of the blanket. If not, I can go and order more or find in other places white yarn that people are destashing. That's something that I've been really enjoying recently, is going on Etsy and finding destash yarn. So you can find hand-dyed yarn for a discounted price that you would be able to buy it from somebody else, and also it gives somebody else's yarn that they may not be using or decided not to use a good home. And I really kind of liked that idea. And so I've also destashed. I've also, because of that, analyzed and looked through my stash and made it to where all the skeins that I know I'm going to use and I'm still excited about and all those kinds of things are the skeins that are still in my stash. All the others are being put on a destash on Ravelry, and I will talk about that, or not Ravelry, on Etsy, and I will tell you that in a little bit because I can show you some of the skeins that I am destashing. If you're interested in that, or I'll talk about some of the skeins I'm destashing. I can't actually show you because some of them I'm actually allergic to. I found I'm allergic to some of them, and so that's why I'm destashing them. But I will talk about that after I'm done with my blankets, which won't be so much longer now. But anyways, I've really been I've really been enjoying these blankets. They look so cool when they're knit up or crocheted up. Crocheted up. But anyways, I've really been enjoying, especially this. Like this one's got a good weight to it because it's 3 fingering weight held together. So that's like what, Aran or bulky, or maybe worsted? No, it's probably Aran or bulky. And so probably Aran. If not worsted, probably Aran. And it's huge. It's very huge. And I love it because it looks great. And you can kind of see there the pops of red and the blue. That's from holding that Freedom colorway with these. So anyways, it's just been really fun to make these. And then like all of these blankets are made with scraps that, otherwise I would have just thrown away or made scrappy socks out of. But if they're going to make like a whole freaking blanket, sure. And then last but certainly not least, I have this scrappy blanket, and I haven't added all the scraps that I have yet. I have the rest of this is what's left of the Bayou from the first sock I showed you earlier. And I am making another scrappy blanket, and this one is a little bit different than my other ones, and it is not actually attached because I'm not working on it. I'm using the same crochet hook, the red crochet hook from the other blanket with this one, so I have to go back and forth. But as you can see, it's got some length on it, even though it's brand new. You haven't seen it since I last podcasted. So this one is kind of more darker colors, like socks that I use to make socks for my brother, for my dad, for men in my family. They all go in this blanket, except for this, which I basically just used to start it. So yeah, you can see like all these colors, and they kind of match a bit, and they make like this really cool effect. This last one, it was a skein of yarn that I had 50 grams left of, and I had no desire to make another pair of socks. But as you can kind of see, it kind of made a cool, it kind of went almost blocky, and then I guess my gauge changed, and then it went off of that pattern. But yeah, I've really been enjoying crochet blankets, obviously, because I started a whole new one that you've never seen, and it is folded in quarters. So this is quarter of the length, and it's off the screen. So it's a pretty big blanket, and it's and now it's folded. It's an eighth, which doesn't really tell you much of how big it is, but it's a little bit bigger. It is probably twin size, I would guesstimate, technical term. But anyways, for this blanket, I am holding 2 strands, as in the other blanket, like the one that I'm using for all my scraps, the cotton and everything. So I'm holding my scrap with a dark gray or a gray or black skein. And so it kind of gives it this darker effect on the lighter colors. And so I was able to find some grays on DESTASH for cheaper, and I could order them. Then I could order them online, and so that's what I've been using for these. And so this is Lolo Did It Naked Hippo. It's a lighter gray, and then I've got this darker gray, which is Spud and Chloe, and this is actually a superwash merino and silk, or wool and silk. Superwash wool and silk. An 80/20 superwash wool and silk. This one is 85/15 superwash merino nylon. And so you can see this guy's a little darker than this one. And then I finally have this guy, which this is a new yarn to me, and it's darker. But this is Cascades Heritage. And you can see it's a 75/25 superwash merino nylon. And this is in, I believe it was like the Oxford colorway or something. But it doesn't really have a color name. It just has a color number. And it's not going to focus. Man, my camera is not cooperating today. There it goes. So you can see the color number there. And so yeah, I've really been enjoying making these blankets, and you can see the different grays that I'm using in this blanket. And yeah, I've just really been enjoying crochet blankets. So I don't have any stash acquisitions. Not that I haven't bought stuff. That's not true. That's not an accurate statement at all. But I have bought so much, and I don't remember what it is I've gotten since I last podcasted. So we're not gonna. I'm not gonna try and figure out what all I've gotten since the last podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna put some of this stuff away and then go grab my DESTASH stuff, and we're gonna get into that. I'll be right back. Okay, so these are all the buckets of my DESTASH stuff. Let's go ahead and look at those. And so I'm just going to show you a few of the things. Like I said, I've got a whole bunch, and I will leave a link to the Etsy store in the description box below if you're interested. If you're not interested, no biggie. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. I totally understand. There's some times where I just have to turn a podcast off when they get to acquisitions and stuff, because I'm not going to be tempted. So yeah, I have a mixture of yarn, and I actually have a project bag as well that I'm destashing. So I guess we'll just go project bag first. So as part of, I I took part in Sock Week last year. And Sock Week, if you don't know, is a knit along hosted by Knitting Nanny over the course of Shark Week. This year she's kind of not trying to match it, but that's the idea. It's based off of that. And so, anyways, the point of it is to knit a full single sock. How many single socks can you make in the course of a week? And so, anyways, I got a project bag from White Rose Fiber Company, which was one of the official sponsors of, or one of the official merch people, yes, or merch shops. And so, anyway, she made a project bag, a shark project bag. And I have kind of had this for almost a year now, and I don't really use it. And so I figured somebody else, it should go to another home of somebody who's going to love it and use it. And so, anyways, this is Sock Week 2021's White Rose Fiber Company bag. It's a medium-sized bag. It's got a handle. This is how I'm going to ship it, of course, in a shipping package. But I'm going to keep it in this bag. I forget what they're called. Man, words today are not coming. But you can see there's the White Rose Fiber Company little tag. And it's a really good-sized bag. I just don't really have a use for it. I'm knitting a lot of socks, and so this kind of medium-sized bag, and this is only half of it. It's folded in half, and so it's kind of a good size. I have pictures on my Etsy store that show the bag laid out, and so you can get a full idea. But this is what the print looks like. It's a really cool blue shark print fabric, and on the inside, it's kind of like blue and white pinstripe as well. So really cool. There are no pockets on the inside, but I don't really see that as an issue. Sometimes I get stuff stuck in pockets, and I just don't really see that as an issue. But yeah, this is her medium-sized bag, and it's on the DESTASH Etsy store. So I'm just going to show you some highlights because, like I said before, I've got a wide range of different yarns. I've got yarn lots. I've got different brands, anything from commercial to hand-dyed. Speaking of hand-dyed, I have a skein of Desert Vista dye works that I'm destashing. It's already caked up. I unfortunately do not have the label anymore. I cannot find it for the life of me. But it's a really cool, I believe it's 5-stripe or possibly 6-stripe repeat. And it's got these really cool colors. And it's the Oktoberfest colorway. It's on the Viso base, which is just 75-25. And it's just really cool yarn. So if you're in the Desert Vista Dye Works knit along, you can already get started on your next pair of socks, or 2 pairs of shorties if you're doing shorties. But anyways, I am destashing this just because I've already got a pair of those socks and I don't need another. This was just part of the wires crossed. I got wires crossed with Susan of Desert Vista Dye Works, and so anyways, I ended up ordering a skein, and but it means that one of you gets to have it, potentially. So we'll talk a little bit about the yarn that I'm allergic to. So there are 8 skeins, I believe, of various Knit Crate brands that I bought on DESTASH myself. And just because I wanted to try. I had heard a lot of things about alpaca or mohair. That whole thing of you're allergic to one or allergic to other or both or neither. As it turns out, I'm allergic to alpaca and did not know that until I got skeins that have a lot of alpaca in them. So I am anxiously trying to get those out of my house. So there are 4 lots of 2 skeins and varying blends. All of them are really soft, really luxurious. I just can't use them. And unfortunately, there are members of my family as well that are allergic to them. And so it's apparently hereditary. And so I can't knit something for somebody else and they take it. But there are 2 lots of them are DK weight and 2 lots of them are worsted. One of them has baby camel in it, which is incredibly soft. Just saying. They are very nice yarns. Just unfortunately, because of my allergies, I can't use them, which is kind of a bummer, but what can you do? So anyways, I believe that's all for this box. I do have lots of Lobby brands. And so I have this Fresh Haven. It's called the Fresh Haven, and I've got a lot of 3 of these, and I would say that you could almost use this for like a summer top. It's kind of like a worsted weight, maybe DK. Thick DK, probably DK. And anyways, it's just really nice yarn, and it's 100% lyocell, and so it's a cooler. I believe lyocell is also eco-friendly. So if you would like some, I have a lot of 3 of those because I wanted to try it, and then I just never ended up trying it. And so I also am destashing these eco braids, which I have sold actually a lot of these, or people have picked them up because it's kind of like a worsted weight. It's very soft, very fluffy, and it's recycled fibers, I believe. I'm not entirely certain on that, but this is a full blue one. I just actually found the label for this one. The picture on my store doesn't have the label, but I found the label afterwards, and I was like, well, I'm not going to take another picture. I'm not going to spend the time to take another picture. It gets the point across. So yeah, that's from that box. And this box has some of the alpaca yarn in it, so my eyes are getting itchy. So I'm going to have to close this guy up. Please, very blue. So another thing I guess I want to show is I have a bunch of Knit Picks palette that black Knit Picks palette that I was using in a project, and I actually ended up ripping that project out, and I am selling the yarn in cakes. And so it's about, I believe, 375 grams, somewhere around there, somewhere in the ballpark. I just say 350 plus on the listing, and that's what I price it as, is assuming 350 grams with a little less. So taking that price from Knit Picks, 350 grams, and then subtracting a bit for DESTASH price, of course. And so 350 grams of DESTASH Knit Picks palette, which, if you don't know, Knit Picks palette is a fingering weight yarn, and it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. Very nice yarn. I just don't have a use for 350 grams black yarn. So if you want to make like a sweater, like a really nice black cardigan or something like that, that's great. Or I have even seen, what is her name? I don't know. Emily of 108 Stitches. She's making a felted blanket by weaving, and she's using this yarn. So if you wanted to make a felted blanket, you could, for cheaper than if you bought it from Knit Picks. So you guys are doing me a favor by getting this yarn out of my house, and I'm doing you a favor by giving it to you for cheaper. I also have some lots of Yarn Bee Color Idol, and this is the lime. And some of them are caked up, some of them aren't, and you can kind of just peruse that a little bit. And then the last that I kind of want to show you is another hand-dyed yarn. Oh, I kind of have some other skeins in this box I want to show you. And so I have this mini skein of Isjager. It's a 50 gram skein. It's wool and mohair, and it's really cool tweedy yarn. I just unfortunately don't have a project in mind for this, or I did have a project in mind, and then I ended up using the other yarn that was going to go with this for something else. And so I'm destashing this. I also have a Hippo for Independence. So 4th of July is coming up soon. If you want to use this in a shawl or something, I say a shawl because this is a MCN base. This has 100% superwash merino wool, 10% nylon, 10% cashmere. Oops, it's 120% fiber, apparently. It's incredibly soft, I guess. But anyways, this is an MCN. I'm assuming she means 80-10-10. But anyways, this is ridiculous, but it's a Hippo for Independence, as you can see. I was buying this for socks. Didn't realize it was that Lolo's favorite was MCN. And I was like, oh, that's not exactly for socks, but it's very soft because it's cashmere. And then I also have couple skeins of Knit Picks Static that I'm destashing. This is in the it's got fuzz. This is in the, I forget what colorway this is. Neptune. This is the Neptune colorway, and it's this really cool dark blue navy colorway. It's really cool, and I really like it. And then this one was a little bit weirder, or not weird. This is a little bit off from what I was expecting. And so this is the Boulder colorway. And it's really interesting because it actually looks like it's got a hint of purple in it, which never comes up on camera. It's got like this really interesting, like pinky purpley. I don't know if you can see that. You can kind of see it there in the camera, but I can never get it to show up on the camera. But anyways, I'm destashing 2 skeins of Knit Picks Static, which I believe is being discontinued. So, and it's a typical 75-25 fingering. Again, I bought these for socks and then just worked. This is actually Knit Picks Gloss, which is a, it's got silk in it. It's a 70-30 merino wool silk. I had actually bought this to put this in my crochet blanket, but I didn't realize that clarity was a light blue. So it's actually a light blue color. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but on where I bought it, it looked gray for some reason. Maybe it's just my screen, but yeah, I totally went over my head that clarity is blue. Who would have? I totally forgot. And so yeah, I'm destashing this guy as well. And this is 100 grams, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's pretty typical for 100 grams, but I can't actually find it on the tag, so it's not on sorry. And then these 2 skeins are actually from dyers that I don't actually know if they're still dyeing anymore. I found their Etsy shop, but it's been empty for a while. And so these are 2 skeins of needles at the ready. It's in the purple gecko colorway, and this is just this really cool red, pinky, purple color. And then this is an 80-20. This is a 80-20 superwash merino nylon base. And the only reason why I'm destashing these is because I was thinking of making a shawl with this, but then I realized that I'm not really a shawl person. And then I was like, oh, well, I'll make socks. And then it was like, who needs 4 pairs of socks? And so also, it's not really my colors. So if this is your colors, you know, I would be happy to hand these over to you. Or give them a better home. Someone who's going to appreciate them. And so I'm going to, so that's, oops. I'm going to brave the yarn I'm allergic to. To show you some of these. And this is not all of them. These are only 3 of the lots. And so the first lot is DK Weight, and it's Vitalana. Sorry, maybe butchering that, but Vitalana Oasis. And this is a single ply, and it's a dark navy colorway. Now, these do smell strongly. I'm just gonna disclaimer, they smell strongly. And maybe it's just me, I'm allergic to them, so maybe I'm just super sensitive to them, but to me, they do not smell that great, or they have an interesting smell. So anyways, this is a very luxurious base. It's a blend of a bunch of different things. If you know Knit Crate, you know that they are known for, they're kind of known for like crazy blends. And so that's the blend of that one. It's a DK Weight. These are 2 100 gram skeins, and I believe I have them listed for $25, just because I need to get these out. I'm already itching. But and then this other one is the one I was talking about. This is Adine Wool's Harmony, and this is a wool alpaca tinsel baby camel. And it's this beautiful brown colorway. I was going to use all these to make a shawl. Didn't end up working out. So anyways, super luxurious base. Again, all of these I believe I have for $25, and these are both 100 grams and worsted weight. And then this one is Adine Wool's Chill. Sorry. I'm gonna take it. Hold on. To me, I think it's funny because I'll watch podcasters and they'll be like, oh my goodness, this alpaca is so soft. To me, it feels like I'm touching a prickly pear. Anyways, so this is how Dean wools chill, and this is very soft. Like you can tell. Like compared to something like this, which could almost stand on its own, it's pretty soft. Like this guy, it's not even staying up in the hank, really. It's just like it just like falls over. It's so soft. That's how I can tell it's soft. It doesn't actually feel that way to me. But this is how Dean wools chill. It's a knit crate yarn, as you can see on the little underneath there. And this is a 90-10 Surrey alpaca cashmere, which sounds amazing. And this is also worsted weight. So you could actually use these two in a shawl. I was going to use actually not this one, but I do have another lot that's in dark gray, and it's in another bucket that I'm not going to get right now. But I was going to use those two skeins, the two dark gray ones, and then these guys in a shawl, which I think would be amazing. And if you do end up doing that, I would like to see it. I don't know how you would do that. Anyways, so yeah, those are three of the 4 lots that I have listed. And they're very luxurious bases, as so I hear. And I would love to knit with them, but such is life. And now I'm like, sheesh. So anyways, just a heads up with those. No worries if none of them suit your fancy. That's totally fine. I just wanted to let y'all know, just in case y'all were interested, or looking at Deserve Vista Dye Works and want to get a skein of yarn and for the knit along, or whatever. Totally doesn't hurt my feelings if you skip this part or if you're not interested. But yeah, I really appreciate all of you coming and watching. Even though I had a bit of a hiatus, I would apologize for that, but I really kind of had no choice. But I really appreciate all y'all's support through all of this and coming back, even though I had disappeared for a time. Hopefully everything is back to normal, and life is somewhat back to normal and on a regular schedule. But I appreciate y'all all coming back, and any new viewers who have found me somehow or decided to watch. I really appreciate y'all all being here and watching me talk about stuff I've knit on or yarn I've used or yarn I'm allergic to and all this crazy stuff. So I really appreciate all y'all watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.